Hey everybody, welcome back to Video So Technical series on the MiSTer FPGA DE10 Nano project. Got a fun video for you guys this evening because last Friday Jotego and his team released betas for the System 18 arcade board along with some new games that run on the Namco System 1. So I'm combining these two episodes together to have a little bit more arcade fun. And of course, people have been waiting for System 18 to go into beta because Shadow Dancer is one of those classic Sega arcade games that everyone knows, loves, and remembers, and now we have a work-in-progress MiSTer FPGA core. And obviously this game did get a port to the Sega Genesis, which is extremely competent. The System 18 and the Sega Genesis do share a lot of hardware in common, so honestly it's not like we haven't been able to play this before, but now we have the System 18 board here, and there's definitely going to be some more games coming to it. But for a beta, this is very buttoned up. It's very hard to tell where the issues are here in the controls, in the graphics, in the sound. Everything just seems to be like Shadow Dancer to me. I absolutely love you have a dog companion here as well that will attack for you, and all of these awesome special moves. This is just one of those Sega games that it's pretty much synonymous in everyone's brain when they think of 16-bit side-scrollers. This, stuff like Sonic the Hedgehog and Streets of Rage are really what I think of when I think of Sega from this era. And the System 18 arcade board, not being the best thing Sega ever did, was still an awesome board, and it's fun to have here on MiSTer. But I will tell you right now, Shadow Dancer pulls no punches whatsoever. You're going to die a lot, and you're going to get sent back to at least the beginning of this stage when you do. So there is a massive risk versus reward here in the game. If you play well, you're going to see the credits, but if you try to rush too much, you're definitely going to die and just repeat the same cycle over and over again. And that really is the name of the game in Shadow Dancer. Do not be too foolhardy, do not rush ahead, or else you will just continually die. You'll see here all the text, all the scrolls on the screen, and the transitions seem to be working as well. Honestly, if you see anything in this capture you don't like, leave me a comment down below, because on watching it I wasn't able to see anything. And I do love the Concorde is here as well. Definitely a plane that was super popular back when this game came out. Definitely a plane that no longer exists today. And you'll see took another death there, and big thanks to Andy D for helping with the captures on this one. But this is just so fun to have. Jotego seems to be on a hot streak when it comes to arcade cores, and I can't wait to see what happens after System 18 because he's pretty close to buttoning up Namco System 1, and now we've moved on to another Sega arcade board. But leave me a comment down below and tell me what your favorite System 18 game is. I would be curious to hear about it. I would say for me, Shadow Dancer is definitely up there in the ranks, and this game definitely will mess with you. It puts you in situations in which you really have to read the screen and your timing and try to make sure you do everything correctly. If you move too far to the right there, you're going to have those gunshots coming towards you, and that's going to just be a situation in which you're going to die. And when you start to die in Shadow Dancer, you're just going to do it over and over again. You really have to read the screen. I hate that the dog gets injured and basically shrinks down. I get that he doesn't die, he does come back, but honestly, dog damage in games is one of my least favorite things. But you'll see here, if you just stand here and spam the Shoryuken, you're not going to progress, but if you use your actual samurai sword, you're going to do a lot better. Even in the attract sequence, I can't again see anything that's not working, so even though this is in beta, it might be a situation where it's 99% of the way there. But the best part about Shadow Dancer, in my opinion, outside of the awesome gameplay, is the soundtrack. Here's what the core currently sounds like. Listen, and I'll be right back with more games. Super awesome soundtrack, and it sounds great here, but let's move on to the second of the two games that currently work on the System 18 core. That's going to be Bloxeed. This is basically a Tetris clone from Sega, but it does add in a lot more mechanics. This is just the second game that works. But stuff like Alien Storm, Moonwalker, and Laser Ghost hopefully are coming soon, and I can't wait for Laser Ghost. It's such a fun light gun game, even though it does use XY potentiometers and analog controls. But we have so few arcade light gun game cores. That is really a genre I'm waiting to see explode on MiSTer FPGA, and hopefully Laser Ghost kind of kicks that off. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be waiting for Moonwalker as well, another Sega classic. but don't ignore Bloxeed here. You've definitely played something like it before, but it does have its own unique mechanics. You'll see one of these Sega birds come down, the flickies here, and he's just going to drop different cubes to be able to make the line. So this is basically Tetris under the lens of Sega. It does pivot up just enough stuff to feel different, and it is worth checking out. Just compared to something like Shadow Dancer, this is definitely going to be the also ran game of this course so far. But if you don't know all the games on the actual platform, I will leave a link below to System 18 so you can take a look at it. Now let's move back over to the Namco System 1 board, because Jotego and his team also released the updates for 3 more games here, 2 of which I'm going to cover, the other of which is just a regional difference in one of the games I showed last week. But this is Bravo Man here. It is a side-scrolling action platformer with some shmup stages in it as well. Probably something a lot of people may not have heard of, so leave me a comment down below and tell me if you know of this one. It's definitely a B-tier game, but it's got that Namco charm and graphical style from this era that I absolutely love, and it's one that you're probably going to discover is definitely worth your playthrough time. I just love how the Namco System 1 graphics look, and compared to something like Splatterhouse running on the exact same board, this is the same kind of concept, just way more colorful and way more platformy, while also having some Splatterhouse vibes at the exact same time. And that's why it's so great that Jotego's been hitting these arcade cores so hard in 2024. There's so many awesome games on the Namco System 1. We've already talked about a dozen of them, but there are more games that can still come, like Bravo Man here. This game is weird. It's definitely got a sense of humor. It's going to be in Japanese, so you're not going to really understand it, but it doesn't matter. You'll get the gist of it. And you'll see here, once we get to the next stage, it is a shmup. It's not the best shmup on MiSTer FPGA by any stretch of the imagination, but this game mixes up its gameplay, keeps things fresh, so when you feel like maybe you've been doing a little bit too much platforming, you get a shmup stage, and that just kind of gives you a refreshing take on what you're going to be doing moving forward. And again, this seems to be working near to perfect on the Namco System 1 core. This is not one that I played in some years, so if there's anything off, if you're a huge fan of this game, leave me a comment in the comments down below, because not every single game I've looked at I've played recently, and in some instances it's been like 5 or 6 years since I checked them out. But Bravo Man here on the Namco System 1 is working so well, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that well. I just want to keep saying Bravo Man even though I know that is incorrect. But you'll see here as we move on to the next stage, this game is fun, it's colorful, it's got gigantic sprites, it's got some challenge. This is definitely one that if you've never played before, I can't recommend enough checking out. This is what's great about MiSTer FPGA. You're not just playing stuff like Splatterhouse, one of the most well-known games of all time. You're getting stuff like this, a game that ran on the same hardware that you've never maybe heard of or played before, and that is always a great thing. It's like the library compendium of arcade fun in your fingertips. But go ahead and listen to the soundtrack of Bravo Man here. It is quite good, and the sound quality seems perfect on the core. About 25 seconds, I'll be right back with one more game to show you. But enjoy. Absolutely awesome soundtrack, and it sounds great coming out of the Namco System 1 core. Now moving over to Quester, this is basically Arkanoid except newer, and if you ever played that game before, you know it comes with a spinner. If you love genres like this on MiSTer FPGA, you probably already have a spinner, but be very well aware, if you bring a controller to this game and try to play it, you're just going to die over and over again, and you're going to start to think it's not fun. This game is insanely fun if you have the right controller. It's that fun, mindless arcade action that everybody loved back in the day. And honestly, getting a spinner for MiSTer FPGA is not the worst idea in the world either, because there's a couple Capcom CPS1 and CPS2 games that can utilize it, and it is just a fun time. And I get it, these type of games are an acquired taste, these breakout style games. You either love them or you don't go anywhere near them, but tell me down below what you think. But this was the other game added to the Namco System 1 core, and it's always fun to talk about new games you can play today on MiSTer FPGA. But if I'm being honest, everyone is here for Shadow Dancer and the Sega System 18 arcade board. This is just a classically good game, even if the Sega Genesis port kind of eclipses it in some way, shapes, or form. But tell me down below, of all the System 18 games that are going to be on the way, which one are you most excited about? For me, it's definitely Laser Ghost. But we are done. Go pet your dog, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.